Hello there, welcome to Straight Talk Sacred Pathway. My name's Stuart Wellborn. I'm a British working class author and former therapist, and I'm joined by my regular guest, Wa-Na-Nee-Che from Turtle Island, more commonly known as America. Good day, Wa-Na-Nee-Che. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Getting a big surprise this morning with snow.
You've got snow.
Yeah, it's all gone now.
You've got snow. Where are
Yeah,
you? Denver?
yeah, Denver. We're a mile high.
Yes, yes. Well, I am aware of
And
Denver because
on
I'm a Raiders fan.
Saturday it was 80 degrees.
Over here I work in Celsius, so I'm not sure what that is, but I'm guessing that's warm.
Well, like they say, I have to say in Colorado, they say if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes, it'll change.
Pretty much like that in the UK. We had a really hot week, and today it's started to go cold again.
Uh,
Anyway, I thought this week we would talk about love. The different types of love, because obviously there is romantic love, but also you say, spiritually, we need to become more loving. That is more of an unconditional love. Would you like to explain your view on the different kinds of love?
well, the one that I'm concerned about is number one, when you look at love, respect basically goes hand in hand with it. One must respect the other person. But you can't basically respect another person if you don't respect yourself. So the first thing that you have to do is, like I said, the category basically is, first of all, love the creator, then love yourself, then extend that love to other people. And basically, it don't mean you have to marry them. The whole idea comes down. Love is just, like I said, it's respect of their opinion. And if you disagree with someone, don't get into an argument over it. Just say, well, you have your way of looking at it. I have my way of looking at it. And when we look at something, we're both right.
That's solid advice. I thought you might have gone a bit further into love there. I wasn't ready to take over the mic just yet. Um, how does some let me think of the way to put this. People have experienced romantic love, most people have,
Yeah.
and they know how that feels. When it comes to like unconditional love, where you love the other person, how does that feel differently?
Well, if you notice, a lot of people fall in love. They fall in love with looks. They fall in love of what that person can do for them. And it's the wrong kind of love. It's like when we see someone, we say, oh, that person's handsome or that woman is beautiful. We look at the outer features of someone and we fall in love with that, which is really a false individual. It's a false impression. And how many people have you talked to and they say to their partners, you're not the same person I once met? Because once they get married, the person shows their true color. So when you look at that type of love, it's not really love. It's basically, again, it's attraction. And what that person can do for you is what you fall in love with. And you never basically do things for yourself to basically find out what love really is. So I always tell people, I said, when you see someone, don't look with your eyes, look with your energy. And when you feel that energy in your stomach, that's your life force energy saying there's a connection. But then you have to find out what that connection is. Is it because you're supposed to be friends with someone? Are you supposed to be that person's partner? That you guys, look at life maybe a little differently, but what that person is weak in, the other person is strong. So you don't go around looking for somebody say, oh, he's my soulmate, because that soulmate will think exactly like you do. So how do you advance? So you have to take a look at the energy itself and what the energy tells you. But people never do that. It's like that exercise I showed you with the fingers, where I told them to put them on their chin and they put it on cheek because they were following me. So I was right. So a lot of people too to fall in love with what I call the sexual attraction, which doesn't last forever. As soon as that dissipates, the relationship falls apart. And I always say people should never have sex. What they should do is have love, sharing of energy. And then that way it means a lot more because you're trying to please the person because you love them, and the other person is trying to please you because they love you. So you have perfect harmony.
And how's that different to sex then?
Sex is just a human need, a human emotion. It's like an animal instinct.
Yeah, it's a biological need.
Just be happy they're not a lion.
Why is that then?
They have sex 57 times a day and it only lasts 3 seconds.
Pros and cons. You get it more, but not not for as long. A few things came up then when I was thinking about you, like you were just saying there that about attracting people that are similar to yourself. That's quite a psychological fact as well. And in Jungian psychology, there's something called the king, warrior, magician, lover, which is four types of personalities. Excuse me. And they say that you want to, for the best growth in a relationship, you want to attract the opposite. You know, so like a king attracts a lover, I think it is, the warrior, the magician sort of thing. Um, but most people do tend to go for somebody who is like themselves. So my question to you now, though, is: do you believe there is such a thing as a soulmate?
Well, I wouldn't say a soulmate, but I would say an energy mate because the energy that one person has and then the other person has another energy, they can formulate and work together.
And is it possible to find your energy mate easily?
As long as they understand how to find their pathway. Now, when you look at Facebook, when you look at uh, organizations, I wonder sometimes because people go to be trained to be somebody they're not. And they're usually being trained by someone who is not. We seem to want to be part of an organization, part of a cult, a part of a shamanic, part of Reiki. But in reality, when you look at it, you have to be trained and you have to be paid. You have to pay someone for that training. Then it's not a natural gift that you have. And the easy way, like I told you before, it's free. All you have to do is get the tools that will help you to find your pathway of who you are and how you can become this powerful person. It's like my dad when I was young. He took me up into the hills because he was looking for a certain medicine, or I should say herb, that had the energy to cure my sister. So he was walking around and he had his hand on the ground and he was kind of putting his, every time he walked someplace, he's put his hand out. And I said, "What you looking for, Dad?" He said, "I'm looking for the color that will help heal your sister from the plant." He said, "Because plants talk in colors. And when you look at a person, if you can see their inner aura, not the outer aura, but there is an inner aura, that you can tell where they're unbalanced. So then you go out in nature and you find the herb, the entity that will help cure them." So we stopped and I said, "Could you teach me how to talk to the herbs?" He said, "Okay." He put his hand out. "What do you see, son?" I said, "I see your hand, Dad." He said, "What else do you see?" I see the earth, I see the grass, I see the rocks, and I see the plants. He said, can you see the color going from my hand to the herb and the herb's color coming back? And he said, no, I can't see that, Dad. And he looked at me and he said, then that gift is not for you. I cannot train you. In life, as you go on, your gift will come to you in vision. And then you'll know exactly who you are and how you can utilize your own gift.
And will that help you find your energy, mate? Because
Yeah.
we went off from where my question was about soulmates. As
Well,
interesting as your answer was, is if you are on your path, does that help you attract your energy mate then?
yeah, definitely, because then you know who you are and you know what person energy will help you the most. Because where you can't find the answers to one thing, they can find the answer to it. And the same way, vice versa, that you can see an answer that they can't find. So what you do is it's a sharing of information, a sharing of energy that basically you're doing, not a sharing of love so much, but a sharing of the energy that connects you for life.
And do you think that everybody has an energy mate, or are some people destined to fly solo on their path?
Now, once you find your pathway yourself, anything's possible. And it's very easily then because you know what you're looking for. You know what you don't have and what you need. So you go out and you find and you're attracted to that energy that's the opposite of your energy so that you can grow. And when you end up doing that, you end up getting a lot stronger in your own energy because a lot of things are answered for you. It's just like Matthew, when he used to come into my room at night and he turned the light on, he'd say, are you awake? I said, I am now. But he used to sit and he'd lie by me and we would have a conversation, his energy and my energy. And a lot of times when he would say something, boom, the answer was there that I was searching for. And that's how your energy basically works when you have an energy match with someone.
That's cool. Excuse me.
But you didn't think I had an answer, huh?
A lot of people are suffering with their mental health right now, and a lot of that is around self-image, therefore self-loving.
Uh,
How could people, what can people do to become more loving of themselves, more accepting of themselves, in your opinion?
Become a real person of the earth.
Okay. Elaborate, please.
Okay, a real person of the earth, understanding or can get an understanding from the 144,000 points of energy. Once they find their own energy, again, they're attached to the whole. So within the whole is all your answers. All you have to do is find somebody that will help you tap in by you asking that person a question. He uses his energy to give you the answer. So, like I said, the whole 144,000 points of energy, they can all share. Because again, once they find who they are, remember, they go to the center where they all become one.
A lot of people may be feeling isolated these days because they
Mhm.
go to work, they come home, they stay on their own, they
Uh-huh.
watch TV, they go to bed, rinse and repeat. It's Groundhog Day virtually for a lot of people, and that can cause, you know, mental health issues, anxiety, and the self-loathing that I'm talking about. Becoming, a real person might seem like a mountain for them to climb. Is
Mhm.
there things that people can do just to get the ball rolling, to start feeling a little more loving of themselves?
Well, like I said, a lot of it comes down to the point that these people that kind of isolate themselves and everything, they're blocking their energy. And all they have to do is go out, ask a question, have tobacco in their hand, put the tobacco on the earth, and within 4 to 16 days, an answer will come. If they don't get an answer, that means they asked the wrong question, that it's not time for them to know it. So the whole idea is that they get this way because they've lost their belief in human beings. They've lost their connection. But a lot of people say, well, I don't understand human beings anymore, so I'm going to withdraw from society. And I said, just because human beings don't understand you, you have 144,000 energies that might. So go to them. Never mind the human being. The first thing you have to understand is that the healing is there. All you have to do is tap into it and find out that I have no friends. Sure, you do. You have all of nature, and nature will talk to you. So you're never alone. It's just the idea that society gets into our mind and says only humans can help you.
Wow, that's really good. I like that answer. For people listening or watching, it's perhaps something that you've not heard before, approaching that to look outside of humanity for your support. Which does bring me on to another question for you, though, Wa-Na-Nee-Che. Sticking with humans,
Yeah.
and we've got a lot of division. Um, Compassion, love, all those things to another human being tends to be easier for people if it's somebody they identify with, part of their political sphere, it could be part of
Yeah.
their religious sphere, or even like, you know, going to the rodeo or something. That guy, they've got compassion for those people, but anybody outside that circle, they haven't got compassion for. There's all the antagonism. How does somebody go from loving people within their own circle to loving people outside of their circle,
Well, I'll ask you a question. Who's the most important person in the world that you should love or respect?
other than yourself?
That's right. So I always tell people, they said, well, people don't understand me. I said, I got one person that'll understand you. He said, who's that? Look in the mirror. I said, because when you look in that mirror, that's who you are. It's like the little boy who stood in front of the mirror and he was making all kinds of poses. And all of a sudden, he just kind of looks at the mirror and says, I'm a little boy and God made me. Therefore, I'm not junk. But he finally realized that person that has to understand is yourself. So that's why when you look in the mirror, you have to look at yourself and say, well, there's another person there that believes in me.
That's back to looking after yourself, but how do people, let's, to become highly spiritual, it is said that you need to love everybody. Yeah. Would you
Yep.
agree with that?
Yep. We've got to look at everybody and then decide. But again, the first thing we have to do is clear out our subconscious because the subconscious controls the mind and it frustrates it. It's like, I don't know, did I tell you a story about the man, the prisoner who was going to be hung?
I don't think so.
And he didn't want to be hung. He was deadly afraid of being hanged. So the scientist came up to him and said, would you be willing to be bitten by a poisonous snake or to be hanged? The guy thought about it and said, I'll take the poisonous snake. So they went into the room and they showed him the snake, very highly poisonous. And then they blindfolded him and they took two needles and they stuck them in his wrist. And a half an hour or 10 minutes later, he died because he believed that he was actually bitten by that poisonous snake and his mind killed him.
Yeah, there's plenty of examples of that. I've come across them in my readings. Psychology articles and things of people, because I used to do hypnotherapy, so hypnotizing people and making people believe things is something I used to do.
Why the two tools, or actually three tools that I introduced to people, but it doesn't do them any good if they don't know how to use them. The first one is the CD. The CD basically, I should have called it a journey within yourself because
Not too
that's what,
late to change it.
yeah, you can always change it, yeah. And so what the CD does is again, it goes into your subconscious on what controls you. what controls your thoughts, your actions. So once you go in there and you identify, like they say, energies, certain energies come to you. Well, that energy there, first of all, shows you a gift. The gift is really your problem, that you have to understand the gift and what it means. And people have to learn how to interpret what just their feelings. But when they see something at first, they interpret with their mind on what they want to hear. So when you go to the four directions, you get four different energies that come to you. And it could be anything. You know, the whole idea is like when we did the one ceremony, the guy said, nothing came to me. The only thing that came to me was apples, pears, and peaches. And I said, well, those are energies. You know, they're trying to tell you something. Well, what are they trying to tell me? So I interpret it the way he's seen it, who gave it to him. And he just looked at me. He said, you're 100% right. So in the CD, you go to four different directions. And each direction, an energy comes. Well, that energy is there to help you. And they give you your problem, whatever it is. So if you don't quite understand right away, don't try to interpret with your mind. If you don't understand, go out and offer tobacco to those particular energies that came to you. And they'll come when you're sleeping and they'll explain each one to you. So the first thing we have to do is we have to learn not to interpret our mind, but to interpret what our feeling. So when you sit there, the first thought that comes into your head, the first picture, go with it. Don't think about it. The minute you say, well, let me think, well, forget about it because you're thinking. So it has to become almost a natural feeling. And then when you go to the pond, they say, a lot of people say, what does a circle begin? And they said, there is no beginning and there's no end. But when you throw that pebble into the water and you see the ripples, where does energy come from? The center. And each wave carries information. And when it comes to the shore and it dissipates, you should be seeing what the energy is saying to you. Then once you start to find out, you can verify by utilizing the card because the cards will actually tell you and re-emphasize your problem so that you'll understand it more. And again, when the card comes in, don't think, just let it go. Let the feeling go. And sometimes I can actually see the card before they even turn it over. I know what it is. And so once they turn it over, I go with my feeling and I interpret what I see, what the energies allow me to see. Just like when you do, a lot of people say psychologist or therapist, you know, you have the ability sometimes, and you should have the ability, not of what they say, but go inside of them. And the whole idea is that you can see exactly what they're thinking once you get inside of them. I had one lady that came to a Mother Earth Lodge, and she would not. As soon as we closed the door, she started to scream. She said, "I got to get out. I'm choking. I can't breathe." And I said, "Now, if you want to go out, the door will open up. But if you want to get rid of this problem, you'll have to stay." I said, "Now you make the decision." She said, "I'll stay." So she was, the first round, she was going like that. The second round, she was going, all of a sudden it stopped. And she said, "I can breathe. How come?" I said, "When you were breathing heavily, I had a chance to look at you in your mother's womb." She said, "What?" She said, "The cord was wrapped around your neck." She said, "How'd you know that?" I said, "I seen it." So I asked the energies to remove it. And the minute they removed it, you start breathing. So on the third round, she said, "Hurry up, guys, close the door." She was ready because number one, she understood. And by going back and in the time she was in the womb, I was able to have the energies take the cord from around her neck. So that's why I say the Mother Earth Lodge itself is once you can figure out what your problems are, that's the place they can be resolved.
That was all, excuse me, very interesting stuff. But not everybody's going to be able to attend a Mother Earth Lodge.
Mhm.
What can they do?
They can organize.
Mm.
And by organize, I mean get the people to get interested. And then I can come over and I can do workshops with them to show them exactly how to utilize each tool and then do a Mother Earth Lodge.
That's on a more smaller scale in one sense.
Okay.
Just imagine somebody's watching this in 6 months' time, and there's a million people who've watched this uh, watching. They're asking this question. I'm never going to be able to attend a lodge with Wa-Na-Nee-Che. What can I do, or am I screwed now?
Well, you can actually again go outside, Mother Nature, Mother Earth. So Mother Earth becomes your lodge. So sit upon Mother Earth, dig a little hole, put your feet in the hole, and cover it with dirt. You're now attached to Mother Earth. And then you can sit there with tobacco and offer tobacco and ask your question. And then you lay it on the earth and just sit there for a while and just kind of reconnect to the earth mother, grow some roots into earth. And then when you go to sleep, generally within 4 to 16 days, you'll get some kind of a vision that they will tell you or explain things to you.
There we go. We got a good answer at the end because we are running out of time. We've got a couple of minutes left. Hang on, I'm trying to read the screen without my glasses on. No, I think we're still all right for a good 5 minutes yet. Back to my question though, because I didn't want to interrupt you because what you were saying was great. But I said a spiritual person should love everybody. Now, it's easy to love, say, I don't know, a small child or an animal or things like that that you love, your friends, your family. How does somebody, how would you love? Um, I don't want to go political, but if you are liberal minded, how do you love Donald Trump spiritually?
Oh, that's a good question, I tell you. But the whole idea is number one, even I get kind of mad sometimes, on what he's doing and stuff. And sometimes I'll just say, look, someone's got to open his eyes. Somebody's got to open up his heart. But again, if he doesn't open up his heart, remember when you look at some of the Bible, when someone was basically very evil, they were given a chance, but then they were eliminated if they didn't listen. Sodom and Gomorrah, when you sit there and you think they all turned to salt, to stone, because they were so evil. They talk about Noah, the evil people. Noah couldn't find enough people to save the earth, so they built an ark, and the other people were basically eliminated. So sometimes they say you have to give them tough love. And if they're so evil, then there's nothing you can do about it except hopefully they'll be eliminated from the earth because their own evilness will actually attack them.
Yeah, another perspective that kind of, I've read about that. Basically, that's their karma, you could say, for them to work on. It's not your karma.
Yeah,
So you've got your own thing to work on. So you hold resenting a person, whether it's Donald Trump or somebody else,
yeah,
it's you that's feeling the negative effects of the resentment. They're not feeling it, are they?
yeah. It's like I told you the story about when someone does something, you forgive them. If they do it a second time, forgive yourself. If the third time they do it, they're idiots. Let them do what they have to do and they get punished. Don't be part of the punishment.
There we go. So, listeners, even if you are on the right and thinking about the left, the same advice applies is that, they've got to work on their thing.
Maybe we shouldn't use the word love, but use respect. Just respect the other person for who they are. Respect yourself. And if you don't actually click, well, fine. Let them live their life.
Probably good advice because if you talk to certain people about, spiritual love, it sounds like hippie nonsense and snowflakes and lefties and woke and all that. And they get the right, I don't want to be love. Whereas respect is a word that both sides can kind of understand, isn't it?
When you say spiritual love, sometimes I sit there and the first thing that clicks is I say, why don't they have energy love? The energy they have within themselves will attract a person that they need to be attracted to. But if they're not attracted to them, leave it alone.
Exactly.
Now, you can't change the world. You can't change individuals. You can only change yourself. And by changing yourself, people will change with you.
Funny enough, I said that in my book that's just come out last week.
Uh,
It's an impossible task to try and make the world a better place by changing everybody else, but you can make it better by working on yourself.
but like I said, if you respect yourself and you go out and you do your thing, that you respect nature and everything, another person may do it at once because of your example. So those are the people that you deal with. The other people, let them go. Don't worry about them. Worry about your own connections.
On that note, we are going to wrap up. I'm going to ask one very last quick question. You know your Eagle cards, medicine
Yeah.
cards? Is that something you could demonstrate in one of these episodes?
As long as we can get a camera shot, yeah.
Yeah. So, because I've got the cards here.
You could actually, the first thing I would do is they have to kind of go in a circle, just with the 28 cards, and then put one hand around them, and then put another hand, because one hand puts your energy into them, and the other hand draws the energy of what cards will help you.
We'll have to have a talk about this off camera, off this episode, and see if we can do it. And then we'll make it part of an episode because I'm sure people will be interested to see it, which may then make them want to buy some. Not that they're for sale now, but when you get your new batch done.
What we can do is, like I said, get the camera to a point where it's kind of like a little bit distance, but then I can do the circle of the cards.
We can do that, but let's just wrap up now. Any final words you want to say? You've got 30 seconds left.
Basically, again, tell the people, go beat the bushes.
Beat the bushes.
You may find a bird in there, an eagle, which will be me.
I have no idea what he's on about there.
I mean, get out there and start organizing. We have to organize for the human circle of life. And if we can do that, then again, people will come if we do it right. And they probably know one or two people that'd be interested. And they know a couple of people that'd be interested. So word of mouth.
Yes. If you enjoyed this, let people know. We've got plenty more stuff coming. There is a website that's being put together. So plenty to look forward to. Thank you for today, Wa-Na-Nee-Che, and we'll be back next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Straight Talk Sacred Pathway podcast. I hope you'll come back for our next episode next week. And if you've got any questions you'd like me to put to Wa-Na-Nee-Che, you can email me at stuart@realityresponsibility.com. Details should be in the description where you're listening to this podcast.